My heart is crying and our nation is crying. Imagine that the 87-year-old grandma has been kidnapped, and I would even compare it to 26/11. There is no place for this horrible acts and deeds, these atrocities to happen. I want to reiterate my gratitude for the nation of India for showing solidarity with us in this our time of need. Israel will win the war against this Hamas terrorist organization.
Hello and welcome. You're watching One India News. My name is Pankaj Mishra, and as we speak, the offensive against Gaza, Palestine, is in full swing as far as the Israeli Defense Forces are concerned. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu too has committed that they did not start the war, but they will conclude it for sure. India too has thrown its full support behind Israel, and joining me to discuss further the issues, the relations, and the diplomatic options that Israel is exploring as of now, both diplomatic and military, is Dana Kursh from all the way from Israel. Thank you so much, Dana, for speaking to us. Dana is obviously she has served in India also and has been a former uh, deputy ambassador to India from Israel. Dana, India has obviously committed its support, and how much does it matter the support coming in from rest of the part of the world in this crisis time that Israel is going through?
Thank you, Mr. Mishra, for enabling me to share some of what's going on in Israel, and mainly to stress and thank the Indian leadership and people for standing with Israel in this horrific time that we are facing. It's a 4-day terrorist attack that has been happening upon us. And we have, unfortunately, 900 people who were murdered by Hamas terrorists. And on top of that, almost 3,000 that are wounded in the hospitals. And unfortunately, even 150 children, elderly, that have been kidnapped by the Hamas terrorist organization. So you are strongly stressing and asking about the fact that the solidarity that had been shown by other nations, and namely Prime Minister Modi. And I know that Prime Minister Modi and our Prime Minister Netanyahu had just shortly today spoken. And Prime Minister Modi had tweeted just an hour ago, stressing again the solidarity and standing with Israel, and stressing a very, very, very clear condemnation of terrorism. Unfortunately, Israel and India are not just facing opportunities, but also challenges, and terrorism and countering terrorism is one of them. Right. And we are very appreciative for the support between India and Israel. And it's not just in the level of leadership. I can tell you personally, I spent 5 years in India. I see India as my second home. I've been 2 years in Delhi and 3 years as Consul General in south of India in Bangalore. And I'm in the influx of messages and phone calls I have been receiving for the past 4 days, asking about my personal family and the situation of the entire people of Israel has really uplifted my heart. We are really facing very, very brutal attack by the Hamas terrorists, and these manifestations of support, whether it's by leaders and people to people, are really the things that are strengthening now the state of Israel and the people of Israel.
Absolutely, and it also, feels reassuring to know that you, your family, and your loved ones are also safe and sound. But as we speak, obviously, you are absolutely right when you talk about your second home, and you talk about two nations which have faced similar atrocities at the hands of terrorism. This is one common thread that connects India and Israel. And wanted to know from you that this issue has been going on for such a long time, but is this now the time when Israel says enough is enough?
Listen, our Prime Minister Netanyahu addressed the nation yesterday night again. And he clearly stated Hamas terrorist organization is ISIS. I don't think that the entire world had seen pictures and videos of the atrocities that Hamas terrorists are inflicting on our people. We have 10 million people living in Israel.
Right.
I think that only Delhi is 20 million. But imagine that imagine what we are facing. Imagine the fact that even on a personal level, I live in Jerusalem, in the capital of Israel. And the morning of Saturday morning, I had to wake up and take my child to the shelter because a siren was heard at 6 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning.
Even far in Jerusalem,
because the leadership and the IDF, the Israeli leadership and IDF are trying to protect us. And unfortunately, the Hamas terrorists are trying to launch rockets at Tel Aviv and at our capital in Jerusalem. So it's been a morning of a holiday and a morning of Shabbat. I think that you had just celebrated the 9 days of Navratri throughout October.
Yes, absolutely.
Imagine in the 9th day, exactly. Imagine that in Diaspora, in the Diaspora morning, your family will wake up to sirens, and you will have to run with your kids and with your parents to the shelter to protect your lives. And thank God we are safe. But what is going on down south, my heart is crying, and our nation is crying, because losing 800, or I think that even the numbers are 900 people now, and 2,700 are wounded, and 150 people had been kidnapped by Hamas terrorists. Absolutely. Imagine that the 87-year-old grandma has been kidnapped without, and she's for 4 days without her medicine. What is the role? As our Prime Minister stressed, it is an atrocity like ISIS. Hamas, terrorist organization, is like ISIS, and we, the state of Israel, has to defend its people, and the entire enlightened world has to stand together, and there is leadership standing together with Israel. As we just spoken about your Prime Minister Modi, that I had the privilege when I was posted in India to organize behind the scene part of a team, his first visit, and the first visit ever of a Prime Minister to Israel. And now, many years after, it was in 2017, 5 years after roughly, now we have to have a conversation between our two prime ministers. And while our prime minister is sharing the situation and the complexity and the brutal reality of the situation, and I can share you that it's not just India. Yesterday, President Biden had submitted a joint declaration with other 4 leaders, UK, Germany, France, and Italy, saying the same thing that your Prime Minister said. Showing solidarity with the state of Israel and with the people in Israel, and condemning Hamas terrorist attack and condemning terrorism. We have to have a united front against terrorism.
Absolutely, Dana, absolutely. Defense Minister Gallant also mentioned yesterday that this beastly act by Hamas of kidnapping elderly, young, and women also will be dealt with force. A 9/11 of Israel, as many are putting it, and no doubt that's the case. Dana, from your point of view, battles are fought on battlegrounds also, and battles are fought diplomatically also. What are the diplomatic options that Jerusalem would be exploring as of now?
Thank you for your words about and the comparison to 9/11. I would even compare it to 26/11 and the bond between India and Israel. Unfortunately, it's with how do we counter terrorism together?
Yes.
I'm proud to be a soldier of diplomacy of the state of Israel. The same ways that our soldiers are now fighting, and all of our defense forces are now fighting and defending us My role and the role of the foreign ministry and all of our embassies and consulates around the globe is to defend Israel in the international arena and call and unite all of us in support of Israel in this time of horror. And we are actively raising solidarity in every way possible with leaders, people-to-people activities, and thank God we have a united front. And one of my role also as a diplomat is conducting interviews like the one that we are having now, because the role of an Israeli emissary or the role of any diplomat, and I have come to know many bright and brilliant Indian diplomats that are defending your nation the same way as we are defending our nation now.
Absolutely.
And we are conveying the messages, but we are also actively conducting in counter-terrorism activities in the multilateral arena and in the bilateral arena, finding ways that some of them are military to military, but some of them are also done by us. I have to tell you that I just, before our interview, I just saw two statements of two Israeli diplomats of us, two female diplomats in UN. Those diplomats had spoken in the UN Assembly on behalf of Israel, sharing what is going on in Israel. And they've done it with a very, it's very hard, because imagine that you are now in New York and these things are happening back home here.
Right, absolutely.
But you were able as diplomats to really bring the voices and the cry of the Israeli people, that to unite all the world against those vicious activities of the Hamas terrorist organization. And I do hope that the solidarity with the state of Israel will remain. I know it will remain with India. I have been feeling it on a personal level and on a national level, on a diplomatic capacity. Since '92, it's more than 30 years of this partnership. Unfortunately, also in times of crisis like this time. And we have to counter this terrorism together. We have to show solidarity. There is no place for this horrible acts and deeds, these atrocities to happen. We cannot find ourselves seeing parents or children looking at their parents looking at their children being slaughtered by Hamas terrorists in front of their eyes in the south of Israel. It's something that we all have to be united together, and I'm proud and privileged that it's also the role of us as Israeli diplomats to do so.
Indeed, it is, Dana, and trust me, the very empowered women of Israel. I have spoken to 4 or 5 of them, starting from your former spokesperson for the IDF to representatives at the UNHCR who voiced Israel's concern, to English teachers who had to be evacuated from southern part of Israel. All of them, women, very empowered and very effectively doing the role that they do. And I'm sure for a country which respects its woman, empowers the woman, these things would be a thing of past, but not before teaching Hamas a lesson. One final question, Dana, before I let you go. There are so many Israelis living across the world outside Israel, including India. We have a small population in Delhi. We have a sizable population in Mumbai also. What message would you give as of now from Israel to all of them who are worried for their loved ones, planning to make a trip to Israel right now or not, or what should be done? A message to them.
First of all, Israelis that are scattered all over India and in other places of the world want to come back home now and to help us defend our nation.
Okay.
So you know that in India, many young Israelis are, once they finish their military service, they come and do their big trip after the army and wonder whether it's up north or down south of India, your amazing, incredible nation. And now our embassy and our consulates, both in Mumbai and in Bangalore, are dealing with trying to help them come back here and basically join the reserve. Many of them had been called for reserve, and others wants to be united with the family and to show solidarity and to fight for our nation from here. So, of course, if there are Israelis that want to come back, I'm sure that our embassies of the globe and our consulates are trying to assist in this issue. And I will add also, as you know, Israel is a Jewish democratic nation with a majority of Jews. It's the only Jewish nation that we have around the globe. Right. But we have Jewish people living all over, including even a small community in Delhi, a bigger community in Mumbai, even a tiny community in Bangalore and other places all over India. And it's the same as Indians. And you have many diaspora Indians all over the globe. We are all united once these kind of things happen. And we are getting a lot of messages and a lot of people, for the Jewish people all over the globe, that are asking, what can we do? And donating a lot and doing all in their hands to be able to help out. So I think that, you have to look for hope. Right. So I'm trying to look for hope, and what I cling on is the solidarity that I see. The solidarity within our nation and the leadership within, and the solidarity outside. And it's not just with the Israelis and Jews that are now in India, it's with all the Indian people. And I'm very, very thankful for that. And I have to, the connection between our two nations, you mentioned before the role of female leaders in Israel. So thank you for that. But I have to tell you that, as you know, you had a female prime minister even before us, but all of us are proud to say that we are we were pioneers in this respect. And our prime minister Golda Meir was also our foreign minister and a real pioneer. And I'm privileged to go in her footsteps and be an Israeli diplomat. And I think that in many ways, it's not gender issue. It's the values. It's what are our values. And Israel and India and also the US and other nations share the same values, and they're of freedom and freedom of religion. And unfortunately, those Hamas terrorist organization and other terrorist organization are sharing the opposite, because a terrorist that will kill a child in front of the eyes of his parents has no values that are being shared with us. So I want to reiterate my gratitude for the nation of India, leadership and people alike, and yourself included, for showing solidarity with us in this our time of need. And we do have indeed a friend with India. And I do pray for and hope for peace. I know it's hard to see the peace, but Israel will win the war against this Hamas terrorist organization.
Absolutely, more power, more strength to you, your family, and to your nation. In these times of crisis. Thank you so much, Dana, for speaking to us, for sharing your views. I won't, as I said, keep you waiting, but yes, the message is loud and clear that a friend in need is a friend indeed, from Indian side and from rest of the world also. I'm sure the support is pouring in. Have a blessed evening. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you so much, Mr.